flaccid when you talk dirty.
That's the greatest introduction I think I've ever had to a PvP session. They love it when I talk dirty. Thank you for joining us for the 4th session in our PvP training sessions and development. This week we'll be doing Voidstar. So let's jump straight into this. This one shouldn't be as long as the previous videos because Voidstar is a little bit more simple, or simpler. And we've also covered a lot of the class roles and utility in previous videos, so you can go back and see the one from last week. There's things missing on there. So let's jump right into things. How are we doing today, guys? How are you, Zizine, and how are you, Shinra?
Great, thanks.
Are you ready for some Void?
Hope everybody is so hyped as we are.
Oh yeah.
I like explaining Voidstar, man. It's one of the maps which is simple but complicated, easy but difficult. You know, it's subtle yet firm, like an iron fist in a velvet glove. You know what I mean? Just me.
Paradox,
okay. So what is Voidstar? Voidstar is another 8v8 warzone, and in this warzone the primary objective is to capture the data core of the abandoned spaceship Voidstar. And you do this through a progression of breaching 3 doors, 1 bridge, 1 energy barrier, and the final console. The doors, the bridge, and the barriers, again, they're all usually referred to as nodes or doors. I don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to them as bridge or energy barrier. They generally just have the same terms on there, okay? So it's worth mentioning here that there are always 2 nodes on each segment of the map, 1 on each opposite side. Only 1 of these needs to be capped in order to proceed. The barrier consoles before the final door is the only exception to this, and there's 3 in a row, and they all run parallel to the barrier itself. In this one, the doors are generally referred to as left or right from spawn. So as you spawn and you drop down, it's either going to be left or right. You can mix it up and be a little bit fancier and do east and west. Now, I know there's a big argument about left, right, east, west. The reason that I prefer left and right is because people know left and right, whereas there's a lot of players in this game who can't even tell left from right, so good luck getting them to know the difference between east and west. It's just, you got to play to your audience to a degree. But also, BioWare recently changed the colouring to each half of the map. So the door, which would be the left when you're attacking, is, I believe it's green, and the other side is blue, or vice versa. But you can see the lights have changed colours now. They were previously all red, now one's left, now one is right. So let's go into the objectives and scoring. So can we just bring up a challenge map here, please?
Yes.
Voidstar.
You're 3.
And
Okie dokie. To answer Lord McClure's question about Resolve, yes, you can know without looking at your nameplate because every Hearthstone or Mez builds a specific amount of Resolve. And if you want some information on that, you can watch the first video where we go into it quite a lot. So if you look up PTSD Session 1, it's all on there, okay? Oh, I mean, am I defending first? Oh, what is this? Why am I always defending first? Anyway, let's go into the objectives and scoring now whilst we're waiting for this to go into it, alright? So the map is split into 2 rounds. You can see here on the in the top right corner where I have the map and the warzone information. This is round 1, and this is the countdown to the start of the game, and we are the defenders, and we are purple. It looks like, yeah, it's this side here, so it's the right side is blue and the left side is green if you're attacking. Obviously flip it if you're defending. So it's 7.5 minutes of attacking, and then 7.5 minutes of defending, assuming that no door is capped or that the data core isn't taken. Now the winner of the game is whichever team can progress through the map the furthest and the fastest. Okay, so who can get the furthest, who can get the fastest, who get the fastest. So it's a bit of a race, like a DPS race, a positioning race, and an objective race. Now each round will end either when the allocated time runs out, so after 7.5 minutes the round will just end. It'll also end if the attacking team reaches the data core. So we're defending right now. If the enemy team just runs all the way through and gets the data core, then the round will end. If you progress further through the map in a shorter time than the enemy did in the previous round, then the round will end immediately. So let me clarify this, because we were just saying before we went live how the rules are fairly simple, but it's quite tricky to explain how they work. So what I mean by the third point I made there about if you progress further than the enemy team, we are currently defending. So if the attacking team doesn't cap any door, when we are then attacking, as soon as we cap the first door, the game will end. We've progressed further than them, faster than them, so the round just ends, okay? If the attackers took 2 doors, and we took, and it took them 5 minutes to cap the 2 doors, so 2 doors, 5 minutes, and we cap 2 doors in 4 minutes 30, then the round ends, the game ends, we've won, we've gone further than them and faster than them, okay? In the case of a game where neither team caps a door, which used to be every single game, the team with the most kills wins the match, okay? And this is a really, really, really important aspect of this match, because this big Void Star, the closest thing, Void Star, the closest thing that SWTOR has to an 8v8 deathmatch style map. You can ignore the doors and just try and massacre the enemy team if you want to, and just hope that you can defend thoroughly in the next round, okay? Now, in order to progress through the map, the attacking team must place a bomb on either of the doors present. So, Shinra, if you just want to go and click on the door there for me, please. So, this is a 6-second timer. Okay, this previously used to be 8, so it's 6 now, down 2 seconds. And then you can defuse this, which is a 3-second cast. Both of these can be interrupted by any kind of damage, the same as any other kind of node. The difference being, sorry, the same thing that dots and those types of things don't interrupt. If you want to cap it again for me, please, Shinra. Once the bomb has been planted, you need to prevent the enemy team from defusing the bomb, basically defend the bomb, for 15 seconds. It's 16 seconds, isn't it?
15 seconds.
15 seconds, okay. So if I can't defuse this, so see how people are hitting me here. There's a little countdown timer, and then the door is blown, and you've gone through. Okay? So, assuming this was the furthest this team got, as long as we capped that door faster than them, we would then win the game. Okay? If you die when you're defending, you get sent back up to the spawn area where you began, and the doors on this, the timers on the doors work on a 30-second rotation, which is 25 seconds closed and 5 seconds open.
Sorry. If you die right now and you are defending, you're gonna spawn at the other side of the map after the bridge, and that's why it's important not to die right now.
Yep, also, if you're attacking here and you die, wait until your team reaches this point, because then you'll spawn here, otherwise you'll spawn back at the start and have to run the distance again. That make sense?
Yep.
Uh,
I'll take that as a yes then. Moving on to attacking. Shinra, are we going to go through this?
Yeah, so as we said already, every channeling, every cap needs 6 seconds to be done. And the only difference is, we will see it later, the last channel, which will need only 1 second, 0.5. And it's really easy, of course, to interrupt, almost impossible. A difference between attacking and defending, as we said, is that the attacking team is not penalized by having a timer on the doors when you respawn. This barrier will not block you, and the defender team will have it. Also, yeah, the cap was previously, as we said, 8 seconds, and now it's 6. An important thing is, show you, as we just said, if I kill, okay, sorry, let me kill you right now.
I can just jump off the edge, hang on, come here, knock me off.
Okay.
I'll very slowly walk there now.
Yes. If snakes die in this moment, and the enemy team is, okay, and the enemy team is attacking, you see, snake will spawn at the other side, and that's why it's particularly important when you reach this stage of the game to try to stay alive and block people from capping. Also, where's Navy is right now?
I'm back over, sorry, yeah.
Really? Didn't I fix it?
You can come back, you can't go over.
Ah, okay. I thought they fixed also the fact that you...
You son of a...
I thought they fixed the fact that you could Olo Traverse or a Phantom Strike.
No, it's only going forward, so you can try and do it to me if you want to.
Okay, so that's... What?
You can't cap. You can't cap. Go look at the doors.
Yeah, but man, I'm pretty sure that they should have fixed... yeah, there's a barrier here for me. Yeah.
They fixed it.
Yes,
can't
but
cap.
I thought they fixed the fact that people could just jump back in from here. Well, apparently not. So as you could see, this is really cool actually. If you manage to get the Sork on either of one of the, well, let's say on this side, to pull you back in the fight, that's really good. Or if you're an operative or a Phantom Stride, maybe better operative, since you can jump on an ally, you can maybe go back and help your team to prevent the capping from this bridge. Okay, so as we said, first is a door, second is a bridge. Work exactly the same as before, 6 seconds, you cap, and you open the bridge. As we said, you can use either one of the door, either one of the bridge. You don't have to open both. So here the story repeats itself, like up there in the middle, there will be the spawn. We will show you then some strategic points and blah blah blah. Yada yada. Here there is another door. Of course there is another specular on the other side.
Alert. Unauthorized
Always
armament
15
detected.
seconds to
Don't-
prevent the...
We need to go quite fast here because we're gonna run out of time otherwise.
Yes.
Alert.
Boom.
Hull breach. Reactor core level.
And here is where the
Evacuation
things
protocol
change a bit.
initiated. Please proceed
There will be
through the
3
lifts
nodes.
to the
As
bridge.
attacker, you, as always, want to open at least one of them. There is one here, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. Again, 6 seconds to open one. You don't get any points for opening more than one. That's
It's
something
worth
that...
pointing out here as well that it only opens the barrier on the part that you open. But because he used the middle turret, the first one is still locked and the back one is still locked.
Yeah. Again, 2 doors. 6 seconds again.
Alert. Unauthorized
Yeah, that's not going to
armament
detonate in time.
If you die here as a defender, you will respawn up there. So it's easier in this case. We didn't even tap there. You will respawn again, and it's easier to defend this side. Of course, you will not be able to jump back in the fight previous the section of the barrier. I mean, before the barriers. You will have to stay there and watch your teammates dying, no matter what. No
All
of
of them.
others will save you in that case. And yeah, after it, there is just a small corridor where you will reach a node. It's the final console. It's 1.5 seconds channeling, and that's the end of the map. If you manage to reach that point, you will hardly lose normally, and I think I've never seen 2 teams both able to cap till the last one.
It's fairly rare. I'm going to go back to the back door now.
Yes.
This actually works out pretty good because as long as people can manage to not hit me for the next couple of minutes, we can find out the fastest time to cap as well.
I wonder if you'll get that codex entry when you click the terminal, even though it's challenge mode.
Yeah, I think Cezine did the math for that. It's gonna be so 6 seconds for capping, 15 for waiting if nobody diffuses. So it's 76.5 seconds in total for every door, and
How is there a decimal point in it?
plus the movement speed. So theoretically, if you never get stopped, it'd be something around 90 seconds.
Shit.
They're saying we didn't do anything there.
No, that was me. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
Unauthorized armaments detected.
Perfect run route.
Yeah, I know, man. I guess predation would be needed for the perfect run. Yeah, so it's what, 3 doors and 3 bridges are 6 seconds each? And then 1.5, so 63, 64.5.
Alert. Hull breach.
Play it on,
Reactor core level.
Oh no,
Evacuation protocol
your roll should be
initiated.
quick enough.
Please
For
proceed
speed shouldn't
through
be
the
that much
lifts
of
to
a
the bridge.
difference.
You've stormed the cargo bay. Bypass the force field.
It's actually good to know this because when it comes to defending, you'll get a certain choke points when you've effectively won the game. So like, for example, if we've capped everything, yeah, and we've worked out that it takes a minimum of just over a minute to cap everything, even not including movement speed, running there, I mean, then that means once you get to a minute, they physically can't win if they have to cap all the doors. Yeah,
Yes.
you can,
Yeah.
and you can kind of like section off things. So like, say you're having a hard game, you could think along the lines of, okay, well, we need to hold the first door for 3 minutes. And then you look at the clock when you get to the second door, like, okay, well, we need to hold the second door for X amount of time. Yeah, that's going to end there because we didn't get the last one today. So because they didn't cap the door in the previous round, that then ends the game.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're looking at roughly
You have
Oh.
tried.
2 minutes 20.
May the opposing team learn from your
Yeah.
example. War game complete.
If you take off the 6-second misclick, that probably would be.
If you
About
put
220.
predation in, you might
Yeah.
be around 2 minutes.
I would
Yeah,
say
2
2 minutes with predation, yeah. Predation would easily take 20 seconds off. Yeah. So you're looking at...
Damn! There's a new
I'm
subscriber
sorry,
over
I've got to
there.
turn my alerts off.
It scared me.
Let me turn it off. Thank you. Cheers, sir. Yeah, so... Next up, we're going to be doing... Are you finished with the attacking now?
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to put on there for attacking as well, and this goes back to the deathmatch side of things. If you're attacking first, it's very important that you get a general feel for how the game is going in terms of like deaths on your team, because if your team is getting destroyed during your attacking phase, your team is also going to get destroyed during your defending phase. So that just means you cannot rely on the deathmatch tactic to win, and you will have to cap more than the enemy team does. So that's an important thing to remember when you're kind of like strategizing what you want to do. So if you attacked in round one, sorry, if you attacked in round one and you got obliterated, but you managed to get a door, then as long as you can defend and not let them get a door, you can still win that. If you go for the deathmatch tactic, it's going to be a no-go. So let's go into the defensive side of things. Can we pop up another map, please?
Yes, I think I will need another one because Lex must go right now.
Okay.
Yep, squad
But
raid.
it's fine.
I have
We've got
3 in this group,
Yeah.
so
I can join until.
Give me Season. Alright then.
Oh, I'm going to be the only non-stealth in the war zones. It's fine.
How does
Sorry.
it feel?
It feels very bad. I've been in a war zone where the attacking team.
But still, it's
But it won't be because Anyara is joining, and Anyara is a Sork.
But still, it's perfect. As a sword,
it's fine, man. Don't worry about it.
lot
Yeah,
of stuff.
I don't think I've even got stun barrier. Are we defending or attacking?
The Void Star War game
So guys, if I'm defending, so you're attacking. So guys, if you're a bit kind of like, oh, I don't really understand how to play the map, you're just going over attacking, defensive phases without going how to what you do and that kind of stuff. Don't worry, we have a section on tactics where we'll be going through the actual plays itself. What we're doing here is just setting down the groundwork, the foundation, so that you understand how each thing looks, what each thing is called, where they're located, what you would be doing in an attack and defense. Just so when we go into the tactics, you understand them a little bit more clearly, okay? So don't worry if you don't necessarily understand what's going on right now. It'll all make sense towards the end, hopefully.
Alright, bye bye. Good luck.
See Alex.
Choose.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so Zizine, are you doing the defensive play?
Yeah, sure. So while we're in this first section here, this is the hangar. This is probably the hardest section to defend. The time to get between the two doors is the longest, and the attackers have it a lot easier because they can already see what's going on, and the defenders aren't, which is true for the rest of the map. Just in this one, because this area is so big in comparison to the other two, it's a lot easier to plan out what you want to do, and then play accordingly. So you can see if you've got a lot already to the right, you can then go left if you're a stealther, etc. But defenders can't see that, they'd have to use their mini-map. And as Snave has mentioned in previous videos, use player distribution to work out where they need to go. When we get out, I'll show you some of the tips that you can use on this one. If you are solo defending a side, or if you see someone solo defending a side, put them a focus target on them. This means that if you can see that they get stunned or they get sapped, or if anything happens to them, you know that they're being attacked, and you can go around straight away before they even need to call out, and that can buy you an extra 2-3 seconds, in which people maybe typing in 2-3 seconds in this area can make a big difference. I won't go on to anything class specific, but or ways to defend, because we'll cover that in tactics. But the optimal way to get round if you're defending is to take the shortest route, which is around here. The amount of times that I see players just run all the way around to try and pick this up, again, it's not a lot, but it's an extra 2, 3, 4 seconds. Also, running through here, you're line of sighting enemies, which means that they can't then throw a flashbang or a whirlwind at you, which can be really useful. If you've got like a roll or something, you can roll through it as well on the angle and come through, which is great. Because again, you're saving up more time, and in this section and in this map generally, it's like a race, seconds make all the difference. With defending as well, particularly on Sorks, I'll go into more detail with this later, but Sorks again have phase walk, and that's great on this map because they can literally swap from one side to another on any of these, making them probably the best defenders in this map. Along with, they also have their static barrier that can blind people. So that's just for defending this first.
Do you want to talk about also calling the doors, since we're here,
Okay.
left and right?
Yeah, Snape mentioned it earlier. It's a bit interesting because depending if you're attacking or defending, left and right are different. If you're defending, right is obviously if you're looking down away from your spawn, and left is on the left hand side. But for attackers, it's reversed. When calling it, you do want to just call generally right or left based on the way you're looking as you come out of spawn. I usually do left and then east or west, because east and west don't change. You'll notice with the text that it always flashes up east bomb has been armed, west bomb has been armed, etc. So you always see which side it flashes up, and although people don't pay attention to it, I still pray and hope that people eventually will.
They did have those colours in as well, didn't they? Because these used to be all red,
Yeah.
so this side is now green and that side is now blue, so you can use that as well if you want to.
I honestly didn't even pay attention to the fact that the colours have changed.
Yeah, I think they assume people will start calling it green and blue or something, which would solve the whole left, right, east, west thing, but people like left and right.
Okay, so in this section here, I forgot to mention it on the first one, but the defending team does have death timers, and the doors do close, as Snape's already mentioned, for 25 seconds. The attackers don't. So at this point, as mentioned earlier by Shinra, survival is the name of the game when defending. You can't respawn and get back over here unless you have a movement ability or a sword can pull you across. However, the majority of the time, if I see a sword someone standing here and I have a knockback, you can expect them to be knocked off the edge within a few seconds. Because I don't want them to be able to get all the way back over here. No, I'm not mean enough to knock you off the edge.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when you're defending here, if you're a stealther, stay in stealth right until the end. If you've got AoE or cooldowns, this is where you want to pop them. This is also the easiest place to then win off, because if you are defending first and attacking second, then you can hold them here. If you clear up their entire team, you can then just end by taking the controls, and they can't get anyone across to then stop you. Not sure if there's anything else for this section. An important thing to note is that when you activate the bridge controls, they only open one side. So what you've got to be careful is you've got to be aware of stealth as being in stealth, opening one bridge and then running all the way across to the far side in this section. Here, this stops usually when they open both bridges, as they can send people down both ways, but quite a lot of the time I see people standing guarding the one side that has the bridge open, and then seconds later stealth has gone and capped the other door. When defending, the best place to stand is up here usually. This means you can actually see both doors if you stand and position it correctly, and therefore you shouldn't be able to be capped. This works even better if you're a sniper and you're standing up here, because you can AoE, you're in range to AoE both sides, and they can't line of sight you. This means that you can't be leapt to, and you can literally cover both doors single-handedly, preventing stealth caps and stuff like that. And yes, this one is probably the easiest to defend if your team is paying attention, because this is the smallest area to defend, and this is where most of the games will end unless one team has a clear snowball advantage. Once we get through this, we're then on to the 3 energy node controls.
Alert.
Yes,
Unauthorized
attention
armament
being the key word. People paying attention is also like the main thing. The amount of times you can bait a team out to just fighting close to the bridge and then cap behind them.
With the change to the cap timer being 6 seconds rather than 8 now, it's only a 2 seconds difference, but the amount of just free caps I see is crazy. Like, people just don't pay that much attention. 6 seconds is above their attention span, or under their attention span.
And it really made it easier to subcap. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing.
So in this one, 3 nodes, when you're defending, again like before, if you die you can't get back through. However, there is an interesting trick. If you are on the other side, you can guard someone through the force field. This is actually hilarious. I discovered this from playing with a friend. So Shinra runs around to the other side of the barrier and then guard.
This side, yeah?
No, the other side is if you died. The time we tried it, I was playing a healer and he was playing a tank, and I think he got knocked off the bridge. We're doing a large stall. If you come up and stand on the side, on the just on the opposite side here, Shinra.
Sorry?
Come and stand here. If you come and stand here, you should be able to guard me through the barrier.
Yeah, you can always guard through loss.
Yeah, so that's great because they can still you can still intercept damage for you.
Yeah,
and
I can even AoE taunt from here.
Yeah, so that's something really important if you have stuff like that. Although you're dead, you can still help the people that are on the other side. This one, defending the hangar, this is probably the medium. Definitely not the easiest, but it's not the hardest either. You can position yourself to defend both doors or watch both doors. I tend to do this most often as a stealther because then I can roll or speed in. But doing this as a class like a sniper, trying to defend, you can't reach both of the doors from any one position easily. You're always out of range, and also you're in prime, like you're like in the prime killing grounds for their DPS to just jump down, see you, and then murder you. Which, because you're defending, you have a timer on you, and you have a death timers. You don't want to die in that phase. Particularly as once the attackers get really through that door, there's nothing that's really going to stop them from capping the data core. It's going to be pretty much over if they cap it. If they cap through those and get through those doors, unless the time expires. The only way that you can possibly defend the other one, and it only works for a few seconds, to stun the people before they cap or mid cap. That only buys you 4 to 5 seconds max. But like I said, this is a race. This one is a race / deathmatch kind of map. So 4 to 5 seconds can be all you need to win. Is there anything I've missed in terms of defending?
I think that's everything.
Yeah,
Let's just do map buffs pretty quickly then.
Yes, sorry. One small thing. When you defend at this point, you will jump on this ramp here, and then from here you can check the situation where the enemy team is gonna split. For example, I see Snave on this side. Let's say most of his team is gonna go to the side, so you can decide, alright, most of my team should go right here, and maybe a couple to the other side, just to check the situation. And then you can move accordingly.
Just on that note though, don't have like your entire team stand there. I've seen Marauder have a great Marauder and Juggernaut on comms both jump in and drop 8-second stuns, and that locked up I think their entire team, and they cap both doors within the first 10 seconds of the map being open.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be too indecisive. If your entire team is standing there and you see people with AoE CCs running towards you, just jump down either side rather than being caught up there. And your entire team being stunned. Or I sit as for 8 seconds.
Correct.
Doesn't the operative group stealth still work?
Yeah, it does. So yeah, you can stealth up there, but the problem is, I've seen from PvP guilds run up. I've seen a power tech throw down the stealth scan and then jump up on carbonized group and then grenade them. So it's like, I have seen like good teams of players just absolutely snowball the hell out.
I think generally speaking, having your entire team or a large percentage of your team all clustered in one kind of like AoE-able area is pretty much always bad.
Yeah, on any map, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't think we have time to go through all of the buffs on this one now. So as we just restart the map?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I need someone else for my group so you can so you can start a
I
challenge.
just got on the AFK, so I'm in the group still.
Oh, are you? Alright, okay, thank you. Oh, perfect. Who's group leader?
Me. I'm loading.
What's your character called?
Go for Shinra. Shira says.
One word?
2 words.
Can't
Base
pick.
between them.
You can't pick what if you'd rather defender attack first.
No, you can't, can you?
No, you can't, but
No.
that would have been
It's-
nice for this map.
It doesn't really matter for this bit. So what I wanted to do on this one here, just quite quickly, is go over the points of interest in each section. Like what parts of the map you should be paying attention to, if there's anything you can do little tricks with, where the buffs are, and that kind of stuff. So, well, we're attacking this time, so that's perfect. We can just go through that quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is, this first area here is the largest section. And realistically, you should only really be fighting on either side by the doors here. But you know how it goes. Sometimes you get people fighting all the way back here in the middle of absolutely nowhere useful. What you can do is, I mean, I get chased quite a lot in PvP. So if you can pull like 3 or 4 defenders up here, obviously that's great. But that goes into the player distribution section again, where you're kind of sacrificing your life to take out more. It's the Yellow Akbar strategy, I guess. But it's, yeah, you're trying to take up more of their team than your life is worth, so to speak. But there's a few key points here. Don't laugh, if I'm a Muslim, I can say it. There's a few key points here that get used quite a lot, and it's important to know how to play around them. The first one I see, which, I mean, to be fair, this is only really used when I see teams desperately trying to not die when they're getting absolutely farmed. So this might not be super relevant, but a lot of the time you'll see people just drop down onto this little crate here, or this one here, just so they have like an elevator platform that's not easy to get onto, and then they'll try and shoot people from there. So if you are overextending and you're down here as a defender, then you can get picked off by like snipers and sorks here. But to be honest, if you're in that position, then the game is typically going to be over already, because you basically spawn camping them. But just to be aware, there's something that you can jump up on here, and I'll show you how to get around there in a second as well. I'm just going to do the right side first of all. So the right side being the blue side or the east side. Take your pick there. So this is the tab I was talking about. Across here, one position that I'm quite fond of defending in is up on here. So you can jump there, and then you can jump here, and you're up on one of these tabs. If you go into stealth, then it makes it very unlikely for someone to naturally find you there, because people aren't going to come up here looking for you generally. They might spam some AoE here, and I find that generally as a defender it's good to kind of roam around a little bit so you aren't so predictable in your placing. But yeah, this is a pretty good area to stand on. You also have line of sight from these pillars here, which is very popularly used. And you have this little nook here, which is pretty good for your phase walks or running away to get some heals off, running away to stay alive. Across to this side, and this is mirrored on the other side, you also have a med pack, standard med pack, same as normal. If you do want to go all the way down the back here, there's not really much there. It's just an empty space with another one of these boxes. But again, if you have people chasing you, you can use that box to like line of sight them and count them. In the middle here, you have the Warzone buff, same as normal, and then you have the healing on the mirrored side down here. On this side, you have this little crashed ship. I see this being utilized quite a lot, especially by things like, you know, snipers, where they'll perch up here, they'll crouch down, and then they'll just kind of shoot everyone. As you can see, if I just target Shinra, he's only 25 meters away. Do you want to go 35? A bit further. And again. And again. Yep, so that's 35-ish there, okay? So you've got a good scope to hit people, and because you can't get left, 2 people have to come all the way back up here to kind of knock you down, okay? On this side again, then, you have the same thing with the line of sight, but you also have these crates to give you line of sight. And then finally, you have the door. So let's skip across to the next section, and then we'll go to the points of interest on there. There's a bit more... with this one, because you're generally going to be fighting here, I would focus more on this area of the map here, just across that line. So everything, if you draw a line across there, that's generally going to be the most relevant areas for you, okay? Going to the tunnel, nothing really going on in here. You can always like kind of hide back here to get some heals off again if you're trying to stall here. You have the gate, which is going to be a 6-second cap. You can hide around here. There's no buffs on this side. And you can also walk around it this side here. So if someone is capping and you wanted to interrupt them with AoE, you could place your AoE there and you would interrupt them. You also have the damage buff in the middle here, and this then obviously this side is the same. Now if you are standing here, you are susceptible to being knocked flying through this area. So a Juggernaut pushing someone off there will send them into the pit and they'll just instantly die, and then they'll go over this side. There's a lot of good pushing opportunities you can get with a Jug on, or any class with a push basically on this map, because as soon as this bridge is open, all of the attackers, once they die, you're going to have to run across this bridge. So if we just say Jug as an example, you can just leap and push whenever it's on cooldown, and you'll be able to get a free kill on that one. It's really annoying. You've got the med pack on here, the same area as the first map. You have a Warzone Adrenal here, again in the middle, mirrored from there. You can also get pushed off from here and from here. So any kind of angle will take you off. This is the speed boost. And then you have another Warzone med pack over on that side. That is pretty much the long and the short of this one. The only other point of interest you have here is the middle. So when you're defending, you're going to spawn here. And if you drop down in this area, obviously you have an elevated position. This is what Zyzzy was talking about with the sniper, where he can place his AoE on either side. And you can't get up there very easily. You either have to have some kind of other person to leap to if he's entrenched or crouched, or some kind of way to get up there. Nothing much going on here. Points of interest on this one. Again, you've got these tubs for line of sight. This is the best one to cap, the first one, because if you are attacking and you die, you respawn here. So obviously having this one down means you can get that much faster back into the fight, because this is the shortest distance. Because of that, the one furthest away is generally easier to cap, and it's good to pull the team away that way. On this side here then, and again, you have the Warzone Adrenal, you have the med pack, you have lots of line of sight, and it's the same thing over on this side. You have the med pack there, and there's no other Adrenal, is there? Is just the one Adrenal?
Only one.
Yeah, just the one Adrenal, okay. Another point of interest would be up on this tab here. If you're defending and you respawn, I think you can jump up here, can you? No, you can't.
Only if you're defending.
Yeah, you can stand on this tub. You can't necessarily get both sides, but it does make it hard for you to get hit, and it does mean that you can lay down some damage on the enemy team. Just going across to the next section quickly, just so I can show you what it looks like. I'm not going to cap it, we'll make sure you get the full timer on everything. And in case you didn't realize, even though I capped that door, this door will also open. It's not just the one down there, okay? Nothing much really going on in here. This is fairly uneventful, all this part here. It's very hard to get interrupted from capping, and you just run in and click it basically, and then that will end the round. We've capped everything with 2 minutes left, so then the enemy team would need to cap everything with more than 2 minutes left, so 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 10. That would then give them the win on there, okay? So those are the points of interest on the map. One thing I actually didn't show you is where you spawn. I can't get back up now, can I? Oh yeah, I can. Where you spawn if you're dying, if you're attacking on the bridge. It's just above the area with the Warzone buff is. I'm sorry, that's the one that I missed. Let me just go back to show you quickly when we got time. These arrows are very convenient for letting you know that you're going the wrong way as well. Okay, so this area up here, if I was attacking, then I would spawn here. If you're defending, then you spawn there. You always get put to the spawn one forward for you, okay? With on the side without a bomb open is fully, while the side of the planton is a small opening after destination. What? Ignore that, guys. Was there anything else to show on the map here?
Not showing really, but in these corridors, you know, when you're trying to go farther and farther, always try to have one of your team to go forward, and you should try to slow the defenders down, so that, for example, if I'm with Snape, he's gonna go forward, I will try to push back the defenders, try to slow them down, stun them, whatever that allows Snape to be free to go cap without them. Grenade even, doesn't matter.
Yep, and we can go into more details on the slow tactic when we get to that part. But next up then is everyone's favorite bit, is the class roles. So we went over class roles for, I guess you call it node-based games. in last week's episode by quite a lot. So if you want to go back and watch that, there is a timestamp. Just go into the bit that you want, and then you can get a bit more information. But just to carry them over quickly, we're just going to run through them one at a time and go over the key talents and things that they have that make them useful in this map. So Juggernaut, I can do Juggernaut. So if you're let's say you're a Vengeance Juggernaut, the utilities that you're looking to, or the utility that you're looking to bring would be obviously your taunts, which are great in any kind of death matches. You should be using your AoE taunt and your normal taunt on cooldown. You have a 6-second mez with, is it Awe, I think it's called? Or Intimidating Roar, one of the two. And that, that actually allows you to sap cap on this map, because the door timer is only 6 seconds as well. So you can actually cap you can sap cap on a Juggernaut. Leap and push is very good for when you get an opportunity to knock someone off the bridge. Something like Intercede can get you back across from the defensive position into the onto the bridge section here, so you can intercede across from here to here. You can also leap from here to here as well. The one ability that I don't see many Jugs using as much as they should on this map, especially when the door is capped, is what's it called? Freezing Shout, is it? What's the slow called? The AoE slow?
Chilling Scream.
Chilling Scream.
Chilling Scream. That's like an AoE slow, which will tie everyone up. It just makes everything laborious to get from one part to the other part, and it's super OP. There was the old joke back in the ranked 8 days of Milex spammed slow so much that's what called the server lag and server desync. So it's a very powerful move. With the tanks back, pretty much the same thing. Obviously, you're just going to guard a healer because the deathmatch aspect means that healers and tanks are more important than DPS. So I think that's it for Jugs, isn't it? Is there anything I missed there?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. When you want to stall one of the doors, Juggernaut is always one of the best. Juggernaut tank is one of the best combination with a healer.
Because they never die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Morara? Did anyone want to do Mara?
Yeah, I'll do Marauder.
Okay.
With Marauder, you're a DPS class. Deathmatch, go nuts, fluff.
Go nuts and fluff, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Marauders hit something like 20 million damage in this war zone. No objectives, but 20 million damage because they went around with their healer and uplifted everything and played deathmatch. But no, you have a 6-second stealth on your force camouflage, making it really easy for you to run up the door, AoE, clear everyone, and then cap. You have your leap, which lets you leap across if you die. You also have Undying, which is like 6 seconds of taking no damage. So that's great. Oh, I need to mute the stream because I keep hearing myself. Because I keep waiting for him to say it and then I keep going. No. Yeah, you have Undying, which means you can't be killed for 6 seconds. Plus, if you're playing Fury, you have 12 seconds of stun immunity, which means as long as you don't die, you can hold out for an extra 12 seconds. And because this is a race here and survival, the longer you stall, the better it is for your team. But that's about it.
And you is the most important one. Come on.
Am I dashing off the edge?
Predation.
Oh.
OP on this map.
Yeah, Predation just takes you across at Mach 9. Always take the speed boost on that. If your team has any kind of stores for any amount, Predation can literally send a operative through both doors before their team can even reach the bridge. And that's one of the tactics that we'll explain later. But yeah, it's using it in tandem with someone who's getting through one and stalling is insane.
Especially with AoE, like you have an AoE speed increase on your team and AoE slows from Jugs. Like, oh
yeah.
My god. Like walking through jelly. Which sounds delicious but sticky.
To be fair, I still think the best thing on this is when you see a Marauder mad dash to dodge something then end up off the edge.
Off the edge.
It's so typical.
I've never done that.
I've seen a few Marauders do that. Like, great, you dodge my ability and it's like... Yeah. But no, that's it. Something else with Marauders is, yeah, it's stealth across the bridge, so you're not a prime target to be left and knocked off by classes that can knock you off. But yeah, no, I think that's it for Marauders.
Alright, Sins?
Assassins. Okay, Formalina, can you come here for a second? Back to the bridge. So Assassin tank is in general really good. both for defending and attacking, since he can sub-cap, and by being stealth there is also really good for defending. If Formalina come here, or here, doesn't matter. A really good combo that Assassin Tank can pull here. For example, if I'm, for example, right now with Cezanne, and you have this healer really tough to kill, whatever, can you just pull me and then push me down, just to show? Yeah. Then we push, bam. Nice job, man.
Oh, look at that! You saved
What
him.
a save.
Love lift us up where we belong.
Okay, that's a really good combo to get rid of any healer or whatever. If you're here with a Sin Tank, just pull him, push him really fast as possible, and you will probably, hopefully, not be able to react to that and just die. Once he died again, if the bridges are still closed, he will spawn to the other side, so it's out of the game. As regards hatred, well, every dot spec, every AoE spreader is really good in this map. I mean, they're really funny. At least you can really pull really high numbers, because most of the time the enemy team the enemy team will just stack up to one side, and that's where you can do your best damage for sure as an hatred. As regards deception, well, again, it's like most like the tank is really good at sub-capping. He can defend also pretty well, because it's a sort of tough class in this case.
It's a stealth tank, yeah. You can defend pretty well on a stealth tank.
Stealth tank. Tough class. So you have enough time anyway to while you're defending. If they attack even in more than 2, you can just stay there, call for help. You will you have your oh, forget not to get sub cap, of course. Anti sub cap is the Force Shroud, and in case of need you can just cloak away again, force cloak. That should give you enough time to call for help in general. As regards other important stuff, yeah, always when you're fighting in the middle of the fight, just use your AoE taunt. And as regards other utilities, I would suggest you to check the other videos where we went more in depth. But in general, when you...
A lot of the stuff from last week's one is going to be applicable here.
Over the sub cap will go later, so...
The only thing I can think of, like abilities that Sins have that are really useful, is low slash.
Low slash, yeah.
The range on it is really good for interrupts.
Yes, and even on this side of, for example, here on the bridge, you have your overload, which is really helpful. You can you can push people.
I thought we were friends.
You can push people down. For example, when they are attacking and you are defending, it's really good. For example, you will die, so you just stealth out. You will go as fast as possible on the bridge while they're crossing it, and then overload in there.
You can get a good one as well. See, if you know when they first all pile through, and you've got like 4 or 5 of them.
Exactly, that's the best.
Triple kill.
But as things are today, most of them will expect that. Finally, I would say, because
I don't know, man. I wouldn't say because of today they'd expect it. I think the problem with today is because people don't really know what the maps are or how to play any of them. Random stuff goes on continuously, so all the movements are random, which makes it hard for you to pull off moves, because it's it's like when you play Tekken against someone who has no idea and they just smash all the buttons. It's quite hard because you have no idea what they're gonna do next. It's the same thing with the randomness now. Let's get back in. Hang on, where are we, challenge? Oh. PT?
Wait, should I do Sork?
You do Sork next if you want, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sorks, they are probably the best defenders on this map. Probably parallel with Power Techs, the shoulder cannons. Their phase walk allows them to teleport from each side to the map in any of the faces to the other door. Which means you can be guarding both. This is where when you want to focus target the other defender, see they get sat cap, you can phase walk across, interrupt the cap, and then you've just prevented them from capping you. You also have your barrier, which you can click off to stun if you're solo defending, or not actually running that utility because we're doing PvE raids, and you know, who stuns raid bosses. Let's be real. But yeah, they also have extrication. You saw me land a nice pull on Shinra as Ryze was about to get knocked off the edge and die. I'm being honest, I've only ever managed to pull that off twice in real war zones. The majority of the time you won't be able to react to it.
That's an MVP vote for me.
Yeah, you pull that off, you're getting an MVP.
Most valuable pull.
Yeah. But then there's not a lot else. They have force barrier, which is 8 seconds of not being able to be CC'd, so the doors have 25 seconds on. So between your force barrier, your self heal, and your med pack, you should be able to hold up for at least half the time your team is dead.
Just to touch on that for 1 second, one thing you can do, which I mean I'll say is like advanced, is you can try and track the door timer and pair that up with kills. This is probably something you're going to do more if you're on voice comms or in a coordinated team. But what you can do is you can wait for the door to open and then try to push a target. Gives you 5 seconds to kill them. When they die, then they get a full door. The same thing, if you're dying and you can see the door's about to open, don't bother using defensive cooldowns because you'll just die and walk straight back out again. So it's one thing that you can track. I find myself doing it a lot on Ancient Hypergate, so we'll probably cover that when we go over Hypergate. The door timers are a lot shorter there. But do you see, like, if you're down here fighting, you can still see the rings from the door when they come up anyway. There we go. So you can just wait. If there's only one tick there, maybe don't use DCDs. Just run. Just like die and run back in. Or if I'm trying to kill Shinra, what I would want to do is wait until the door is open and then kill him. I know you don't always have that luxury, but it's something that was done quite a lot back in the old 8 days. Just so I mentioned it.
And I don't think there's much else to say for Sword.
Do you want to show the phase walk thing?
Yeah, sure. So I'll place my phase walk this side. Then I'll run around and defend the other. So
let me know when you're over there, right? And do you have me targeted?
I have Shinra targeted because he's on that side. So Shinra just stands out by the door.
I'm defending, aren't I? Never mind. I was going to cap them. But
so if Shinra just stands by the door, I'd start and then you zap him.
I can't cap because we're defending. But
yeah, yeah, I can see him. He's been zapped. I can teleport and then.
Yeah.
Appears out of nowhere. And that just means that if you don't trust the person you've left to defend as a Sorc, you can effectively say you've got 2 people defending that side because you watch the one person that's there and then you can teleport over to stop them. It doesn't quite work if they haven't been zapped and they're just relying on the person being completely blind and not noticing.
When it comes to phase walk placement, would you recommend putting it here or closer to this side so you have more chance of being in range to use it?
The problem with this side, that's debatable. If I have barrier on me, me doing that and then instantly clicking barrier off, if I have that utility, it's better for me to place it here because what
I mean by that is, what's the range on phase walk?
60 meters.
So if you were on the other side of the fence here, let me just 60 meters, yeah.
Yeah.
Stay where you are by the door, where you would normally just put it. So yeah, this is 60 meters here. So you're going to need to be here in order to phase walk.
Yeah.
Whereas if you
place it further up,
yeah,
your disadvantage is if you're not facing the door, you then have to spend a couple of seconds again turning around to then target the person or to drop an AoE.
Okay.
Because it's only a 6-second cap. You still risk them being able to cap you. So I prefer to have to force speed over to the wall, phase walk, and then be right in the area just to land a knockback, then have to risk spending 2 seconds to reposition my camera.
Phase walk is incredibly powerful on this one. I can't think the name of the assassin, but I saw him defend both sides once.
Yeah.
I got triggered beyond belief. Yeah. PTs?
Yeah, PT. Well, PT, more or less, as we said in the last video, but in this, well, is a really good defender, of course, because of shoulder cannons. A cool thing that he can do, though, with the pull, although it doesn't have a push, we don't have it right now, but maybe Formalina can pull it out. If he goes really on the edge of something like here, for example.
You're gonna need to cap the bridge.
No, even here it's fine.
Where's he gonna pull you from?
If he pulls me here, if he stays, let's say, exactly, really on the edge, and let's say I'm here. Exactly. Cezanne, go a little bit further. I don't think he can pull you there. Sorry, a little bit closer. And Formalina really stays on the edge. When you have the grapple from your PT and you try to pull somebody, it will not have space to stay because you're so close to the edge, and it will fall down. So although you don't have...
You really don't want to know where I just ended up.
What?
I see you.
What? Where are you?
I'll send a screenshot in Discord and we'll look at it.
Are you on the bottom?
Yeah, I'm at the bottom.
Yeah, that's also happens sometimes. But you're anyway out of the game, so you have to stuck when you're there.
That's
Yeah.
the best possible outcome, isn't it?
Yes.
You got a stuck, you get a 30-second timer,
Yes.
and then you get the res timer.
It happens to me quite a lot of time, actually. So if you pull somebody and you're staying on the edge, it's also good.
Look at his head go.
Although you don't have a pull. Can I rest you? Wait. Check this out.
Oh, the team play.
Oh yeah, combat resing. We didn't
Yeah.
go over that in any of the videos, but you can combat res in 8v8s, which is great if you need to get your healer back up or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's,
Assuming that you can target him.
Yeah, so you can target him and get it off.
Yeah. And you were on the bottom right now.
God
So
bless
it's
you,
pretty
Soto.
strange. So again, yeah, if you don't have a push, it's still pretty useful if you know how to place yourself. Can be done here, can be done, for example, if you're here and you want to pull somebody from the middle, also works. Just stay close to the edge, pull, should be good. Especially because maybe they will try to move after they get pulled and they will fall down.
Anything else of note on power attacks?
Carbonize,
Carbonize.
stalling.
Carbonize is really strong, of course.
Does Flame Sweep have a slow?
I think you spec
You spec into it? Yeah.
Anyway,
what else is good?
Another thing with the grapple, if one of your teammates wants to cap, you can exactly stay here, pull the guy that is defending, and carbonize him. If he breaks, you're gonna art stun him. It's not like a step cap, but still it's very useful. It's situational.
Yeah. Pull is always strong, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Alright, Mercs.
OP.
I don't think they have anything that's necessarily particularly strong on this map.
No,
They-
It's just
hydraulics.
everything they have is strong.
they're just reliable. And as we said before, the more you can stay in the fight and resist, the better. So
What do they have? AoE knockback is strong. The reverse rocket out is strong to cover distance if you're trying to get doors and that kind of stuff. Net is always good. And you have the AoE knockback as well, which, you know, if you want to charge into the bridge and AoE knockback, you'd probably get some casualties with that as well.
You also have hydraulics, so you can't be knocked
Hydraulics.
back in the process.
You cannot be knocked back, yeah. And as a merc, maybe when you're attacking and you want to pull some enemies to you, maybe they try to kill you, you will just get close to the bridge and then knock them off with your jet.
Yeah, what I see a lot of people doing on Merc is they'll kite you around this pillar here, and then when you chase them, you just want to run over by me, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
They'll just do that,
When
walk
they're
forward,
at
and then
spawn.
do a knockback.
Yeah. Also snipers. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And jugs.
Yeah.
Jugs.
I try that
Everything
all the time with my
can
jug.
pull you here is really dangerous, yeah.
Do you want to do snipers next?
Yeah, snipers, they're quite good at attacking. Slade mentioned that in the first area you saw that they like to go up onto that ship, and then they have a massive range and like have a massive shooting ground that they can hit. We're just leaving the second area now to the end of the map, but when we get back there, I'll explain that you can go up onto that position just below the spawn, and your two AoEs, your orbital strike and suppressive fire. If you stand up there, you can position yourself to see both sides and AoE both sides, so you can solo defend.
I hate that spot. I think they should change that.
Yeah, they need to do it so you can't AoE or you can't go into cover there, because being able to just literally not be ALEP to pulled off, stunned, and just being able to stop both single-handedly is a bit strong. If you guys are wondering what it's the only counterfeit to that, the only thing that really beats it is another sniper throwing evasion, and then your team gangbanging that poor sniper, because that's usually what happens after an evasion is thrown on it. Everyone then jumps on the sniper.
Unauthorized armor
because it's
So
the only
we'll
time
just,
they can.
yeah, I've shown you the spot up here, so you know that one, and you've seen the boxes you can get onto. So we'll just do the other positions that snipers can get into, because they've got quite a few good ones.
Yeah. Also, you have cover. I can't remember what the other ability is, but you have two versions where you can just go into cover naturally, but you can roll into positions. And you should always have both of those on your quick bar, because the amount of interesting positions you can roll yourself into. Well, you can either shoot yourself in the foot and put yourself next to the edge to then kill you, or you can roll yourself into a position that they can't get to you. You have to. It's well, yeah. It can be either very good for you or very bad for you.
This is another place where you see snipers quite a lot of the time as well. If they die, they can perch up here, and then obviously they can just shoot down either sides.
Yeah.
Pretty strong. Oh, the bridge bug. Okay, so this is the bridge bug. This happens quite a lot, where the bridge is open, but it just doesn't show. When this happens, a lot of the time you get accused of hacking or some stuff. It's just a glitch in the game, unfortunately.
You have to do the walk of fate like in Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yeah, that's true. Do you want to? Yeah, up here you would drop down from spawn, and then if you locate yourself like just on the edge here.
Yeah. I'll through.
Are you coming out now? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have the same range on your class?
No, I'm in.
No, sniper has more range.
Okay.
I'm in dots at the moment, but lightning has 35 as well. I can just about AoE each side, I think. But I think you can stand out.
Yeah, I can get around that a little bit, yeah. But basically, yeah, sniper here, isn't it? Can interrupt both sides.
Yeah. And yeah, they can't do that too. So Formal wouldn't be able to get up here.
I knew it. Correct.
So yeah, like cover pulse, the AoE knockback is always good. If you were defending and you stand here, people cluster around you can try and knock them back as well. So basically, it's the classic thing of if you have a knockback and there's simple edges to knock people off, you should try and knock them off because it's hilarious. But it's also good for killing people too.
Just to know, where you're standing there, you actually want to be more positioned here, because here you might get unlucky and just smash them straight back into this. But if you stand here, you've obviously got the fact that they'll fly up the slope and then fall off the edge. So you're more likely to get successful knockback being on the slope than you are on the ledge. But that only really applies to snipers and jugs because they have the stronger knockbacks out of classes that do have knockbacks.
Okay, anything else for snipers?
No, just ballistic shield if you're in the middle of a team fight for a node, because that's a massive defense, and it can cover one side pretty much completely.
Yeah, and again, guys, if you want some more information on this, if you watched last week's video, again, the timestamps are all on there. You can just go in and there's a bit more. We have a bit more conversation about them. Otherwise, we're just rehashing the same things over and over again. For operatives on this map, I mean, roll is always good, but it's with the most mobile class in the game. So you basically want to be trying to, assuming you're going for the caps and not going for the kills, you want to be the sprinter essentially. You want to be the person breaking ahead of the pack. You want to be leading the race. And roll is great for doing that as well. You also have the speed increase on countermeasures, which is great for that. In a pinch, even if you don't have a great amount of distance to cover, what you can do is use hollow traverse, and that also gives you a speed increase too. So those are all good. I mean, defensively, it's your standard tools of like sapping and playing touch ass around the pillars, like rifle shot in them. Operatives are very, very strong defenders. Well, they're strong defenders on all map, but they're strong defenders on this map as well because there's not a huge amount of time to get from one side of another. So 2 saps, calling come in, you know, you're looking at, what, 25 seconds-ish of a stall. That's plenty of time for one person to get over to you. So, you know, as long as you're pacing yourself correctly, that shouldn't be an issue. Other abilities they have, obviously the combat res we just went over. Flashbang is good for stalling as well. You can, if you want to. I'm not a big fan of this utility. I really wish that it was better than it is, but you can take mobile strategies. It's a really fun talent, but it's just not particularly useful. It gives you like a knockback on overload shot. So, you know, if you think if you want to spec purely for knocking people off the edges, which I 100% have done several times, then this one is pretty good to do. It gives you a knockback on overload shot after roll and gives it a range of 30 meters. So you can use it for interrupts and all that kind of stuff, but it's more of a troll talent than anything else. I wouldn't say that it's particularly useful, but it is a lot of fun. So, you know, give it a try if you want to.
Reflexologist strat.
God, yeah. Well, I mean, his is just spam it whenever it's available. There's no thinking there. It's like, let me white bar you as quickly as possible in the least efficient way. Cheers, buddy. Another good one that you have again with operatives is your slows and your roots. So crippling slice, sever tendon is good for tying people up, and you can use that then to buy time if someone else is running forward for you. But there's nothing really else I would say that operatives would use specifically for this map. Other than it's just your standard sap cap stuff and your standard stall stuff. The rest is what it is. Your fart cloud, or I'm sorry, toxic haze is obviously going to be stronger on this map because again AoE is going to be powerful in group fights. So don't be afraid to use that. You will get some good use out of it. Do you want to go into tactics next?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to go into, and again I'll mention it one more time. The how to counter 8 video goes into this in a lot more detail, and Voidstar is used as an example, so I would recommend you check that out. But distribution and death matching is something that I see players get wrong pretty much every game, and it's incredibly frustrating. So on this map, you will always, or you should at least have one person defending the door that isn't being pushed by the enemy team. So let's, for argument's sake, say everyone is going to the left side, and you have one defender on the right side. So if you commit someone to the side with the one defender, what you're doing is enabling that defender and turning the fight into an 8v8. If you push everyone down one side, you turn the fight into a 8v7. Now, at the start of a game, the tactic that I would generally advise is 8 left or 8 right. It doesn't really matter which one it is, but that's what I would recommend. The reason being, at the start of the game, people will generally drop down in somewhat of a split, and you have a little bit of time right at the beginning to get your bearings, push some damage, and put some pressure on whichever side you're going for, whilst you're waiting for them to come around. If you do, for example, like a 4-4 split, all you're going to do is end up having a 4v4 as opposed to having a numerical advantage. So you're kind of giving away a player if you don't all push one side when you're doing it. Let me just drop to the left now. So yeah, if this was the side they're all pushing, you should have 8 of the enemy here, you'd have 7 of us over there, and then you'd have 1 over here. The reason that I like this strategy so well is because in the first kind of like 30 seconds, which isn't a huge time, it creates a lot of knowledge, or a lot of information, sorry, and a lot of potential fuckery. So let's say 30 seconds has passed, and my team hasn't killed anyone. My team is dying, maybe, they're not doing so well. I will then know that we need to cap a door in order to win this game, because we won't be able to outmuscle them. Because even with a player more than them, we're still dying. So if that's happening, it's very unlikely that's going to change if there's 0 view and your entire team is there. So if that happens, what you can then do is swap across like your stealth as a stealther, ideally, and just try and do a sap cap and do some off-node harassment where the objective isn't necessarily going to be to cap it. Like if you can cap it, then brilliant. But if you can't cap it, at least pull back 2 or 3 defenders to give you a team even more of an advantage to try and close that, kill gap or whatever it is. But you'll know within usually the first 30 seconds to a minute, how it's going to go for kills. If it's an easy answer. If it's going to be close, then obviously you can take your time and work it out. You can also mark up any people of interest. So if you see a healer, just check a mark on them, and then you know that that's the healer there. What I like to do on this map is I always call them my Betty. Yeah. So let's say you got Zyazine here. Zyazine, can you take off half your gear for a second? Well, you're both at the 252 now. It doesn't matter so much, is it? But yeah, let's see you see someone with low health. He's playing a Sork, which, I mean, they can be a little bit tricky to kill, but he's on low health. I will put a mark on this person, and I will kill them the entire game over and over and over again. Because in the event of a stalemate where it comes down to kills, this person is going to be feeding us points the whole match. Every time I kill him, it's one more kill for us, one more kill for us. So I've had games where even though the enemy team was better in terms of like HPS and DPS, they had 1 lemon, and we just killed them like 20, 30 times, and that was enough to make up the difference between the 2 of them. So it's always good to mark up a soft target and mark up key targets. So healers, tanks, and anything that can be kind of nuked down easy. Something that can get, you can get good results under focus. But yeah, the sap cap side of things, I'm defending here, so I can't really show you the sap cap. But Shinra, do you want to do it for me?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's 6 seconds. So what I see a lot of the time is people defending from like here, which is a fairly typical place to stand. Because he has, might be a bit close. But because he has that travel, I can rifle shot him. Other classes that was tight actually, but yeah, you get the gist with it. Because you have a 6-second cap with an 8-second mez, it buys you a bit of a grace period where you can either roll or force speed or whatever it is to get across there and cap it. So you need to be a bit more wary on this map, because if you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to stand here and defend, that way, you know, they can't cap and like line of sight me. Well, if I sap you and then run around here, I have a 2-second head start, and you have to do that optimally and hit me before the cap completes, which is basically who picks the better path, me or you. Because if my path is 0.1 second faster than yours, I will cap and you will lose that door. So you need to be just aware of your positioning relative to a 6-second cap. If you are fighting in this area here, I do recommend that you have the camera angled towards the door and don't go too crazily far out of range, because 6 seconds is not a long time when it comes to capping. Okay. So I would say push one side. If that isn't working, then by all means go for the splits and try and create the scrambles. Try and drag defenders left, right. You can play mind games with them. Like if I'm vanishing out, like sometimes I'll do a really blatant, obvious vanish here, so that the enemy team is fighting. I'll just go, oh, I'm vanishing, and then I'll just run back into the fight, because sometimes they'll send the player back. They think I'm going over there. You know, so you got to kind of mess with their perception of the game and mess with their distribution of the game. But again, if you want more information on that one, I'd recommend watching the other video. Next up, we have priority targets. So what would you say were the priority targets in this game?
Healer, definitely, unless you find somebody really weak and you, as you said before, want to push them when they're down. But yeah, healers are top priority. They will most of the time be guarded, for sure. But again, there are ways to work around it, like pulling them out or pulling the tank away, mass the tank, try to get the healer just outside this the guard range, the 15 meters guard range.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think that the healers and soft targets are always the ones you want to go for. If you do kill a healer as well, by the way, so if you're defending and they're attacking and you kill a healer or you kill the soft target, you can always run up here and intercept them in the spawn. One thing I do quite a lot is I'll run up here and then vanish and sap, just so they're out for that little bit longer. Or if it's the soft target, try and get them into a 1v1 situation where effectively you're just farming them for kills for the rest of the game. Like spawn camping them almost. But don't do it too much in case they leave and get replaced by someone good. That's the thing you gotta balance out. So next up we have, I wanted to talk about scrambles. Again, scrambles is the term of when the game is in the state of flux and the player distribution is moving from side to side. So if you had 8v7 and 1 defending over here, that's the opposite of a scramble. That's particularly stable. That is, everyone's in one area and it's easy to track what's going on. If you then send maybe 2 or 3 people over here and start pushing, it's always about keeping that number in your head as to how many defenders do you have versus how many attackers. Because any advantage you have on one side, you have a disadvantage on the other side to an equal amount, you know, pretty much. So if you send 3 over here and try to bully the defender, and they then send 4 back to defend, you aren't going to cap that door, and you probably aren't going to get kills because it's 3v4. So run away, it's 2v4 over there, but they still have the 4 players, and then you have a player advantage over this side, and again, you can push for more kills or try and create that opportunity to get the door. You can go backwards and forwards, especially if they have a bad defender or someone who isn't a particularly confident defender, or a defender that isn't great at stalling people for prolonged periods of time. So if it's not a stealther, basically. You can engage them in combat immediately. They'll panic, they'll call for help, people will go over there to help them. It'll create opportunity over here. And that's really the balancing act on that one. With sap capsizing, is there, Shinra, was there anything in particular you wanted to go over with this one in addition to what we've done?
Yeah, that the combination of 2 sap cappers is really, really motherfucking strong in this map. You can time your first sap. For example, I will go, let me break. If Formalina stays here, let's say I'm gonna go for the sap, I start to cap, and then another Stalter is with me, and immediately after he breaks his stun, exactly, he's gonna sap him. I don't have even to, I just keep channeling, right? I don't have to interrupt myself, my channel, and mass him and then go for it again. It's really powerful, and maybe he won't even expect that. And
you don't even need 2 Stalters for it. Any kind of hard stun, or even a class with a grenade will do it, because it's 6 seconds, you know?
Yes, but I mean, if it's a Stalter, you wouldn't see him.
Ah, right, sorry, yeah.
So Would that always check how many stealthers do they have if you can in the enemy team? That's really helpful because you know what to expect. If they have no stealthers, you're fine. You can just see them coming. Not.
Yeah, I think something to feed off on that one as well is if they have multiple defenders, what I'll do sometimes is mark one of them up, so that if I see that person back on the other side, I know that they don't have multiple defenders anymore, and they can go back and push. So say they have 2 defenders here, I'll mark, you know, the both with whatever signs, and then when I see that sign on the other side, I know that there's only 1 defender, I can go back to harassing again. Snowballing. Zizine? I think we've lost Zizine.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, cool.
No, so something that's really common on this map is because of the short cap times and how easy it is for classes like Operatives and Marauders to get really far ahead. Once you get the first one, if the enemy team doesn't react in time and get people across to defend, Operative and Marauders can usually make enough headway to get the bridge, and once they get across the bridge they then have free access to the doors. And this is like the constant snowballing, like once you get going it just gets bigger and harder to stop. Because if you think about it, unless you kill the enemy team, they're not going to respawn to defend. So they're going to be stuck behind, but you've got your 2 advanced scouts or whatever pushing really, really far ahead and getting everything for free. This is where they had to bring the change, that you have to actually open the bridges before you could get to the other side. Because it was becoming way too easy for 2 stealthers to get across, zap the 1 defender on the other side and then win the game. And the defending team get across to stop them because
it wasn't easy. You had to have someone on the enemy team standing in a dumb position for a long period of time.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but it was too exploitable for BioWare.
It was 100% dependent on the enemy team being stupid.
Yeah. So okay, they probably deserve to lose if they have someone that does that.
I didn't like that change. I think this is punishing. You're rewarding good gameplay, bad gameplay, and punishing good gameplay.
Okay. But yeah, BioWare didn't like that.
They don't agree with me, yeah.
BioWare doesn't agree with Snake, so they changed it. But yeah. So yeah, once you get going, it's really hard to stop. And that's when stalling in mass AoE groups comes down. If you have any kind of AoE slows as well, you can sit in choke points. You've got those 2 points before the bridge, or the 2 corridors that take you down to the bridge terminals. If you layer up your CC and your slows in those places, it can make it, Snape said earlier, walking through jelly. And it's just horrible to try and get through. Like, you'll either be forcing people to use hydraulics, predation, CC brigs to get through to stop you, stop the people that are running ahead, or the people that are running ahead are just going to cap it all for free. And I think the difference between the first and the second one, although I might be wrong, the first one is a blaring siren that says it's been capped, but until you walk through into the doors, it won't tell you that the bridge has been opened. So. Yep. If your team is stuck there farming DPS and still while the doors are open, you won't be alerted that they've already got past the bridge until you see the red text flash up saying they've captured the second set of doors. At which point you're just too far away to really do anything, and that's really where the snowball is taking effect.
And I think really this probably feeds into the next one you have, when to gap close far nodes.
Yeah. This one this requires you to pay attention to your team's positioning and how well they're playing, and the enemy's positioning and how well they're playing. If, for example, the enemy team isn't really chasing you down, or your team is doing an exceptionally good job stalling, you don't need to like run all the way to the far side to cap the door. You can usually run to the closer one. But then obviously if the enemy team is making headway on you, if you're saying operative or something, it is probably better for you to go to the far side.
Yeah. So this is the lefty, righty, left, no can defend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you want to take over from there, then I think you have a better name for it than I do.
The one thing I wanted to mention on this one as well, with snowballing, when you get too far behind and you're getting slowed down, one thing that you can do is kill yourself. So I do this quite a lot. Well, I say quite a lot.
Catch up.
So all you've got to do is, if we are getting kind of like slowed here or whatever, I think that the team is enemy team is gonna overlap us. I think they're gonna push us behind. Once we are here, if I slash stuck it or if I die, I res here. I res ahead of them. So if they are blowing through with whatever strategy they're using, whether it's slowing you or whether it's lefty right left or whatever, what you can do is just kill yourself. Oh my god. Why are you darting me with slows, man? God. Let me just show you this thing very, very slowly. So yeah, you jump off the edge, you just die. That will then put you back in a better position defensively, because now you're over here and you can actually respond to what's going on. Oh, I'm attacking, sorry, but if I was defending, I'd be on the other side, beg your pardon. So I would spawn down here. So if they are trying to push ahead of you, once you get to the area, once you get to the point where you're going to spawn in the area ahead, you can stuck it, you can just die, you can jump off the edge, whatever it is. It puts you in a better position defensively to catch up with them. Same thing with the doors here and here as well. Okay, so you'll res there and res there. Now, lefty, righty, left would be if I've pulled ahead. So let's say I've capped one door, my team is tying up the enemies. Formali, do you want to come and cap left door?
Yep.
So what you would do is you'd have one person in not stealth go across to the door that is in line with that one. So Formali, can you leave stealth, please? The reason that it's important he leaves stealth is basically he's there to bait people over there.
Yeah.
Lefty, righty, left, yeah? So they're over there dealing with him, and I'm capping the door over here. If you lose the door and you are coming back to defend, you want to stand somewhere around here as an approximation, just so you can see if that kind of thing is going on. If I'm running across this bridge here and I see someone moving across there in stealth, I will jump and run over here and try and distract them and try and hit them and aggro them basically and get them to try and kill me. That way it frees up the other person to cap. Same thing you do it here. I think this will be probably longy, shorty, long, I guess. You have one person like be the bait trying to cap this one. It's the first thing they see in the tunnel. They're gonna run and they're gonna try and interrupt me. They're gonna try and get it. All this is really just a smoke show, so that my teammate can go and get the furthest one across. Because once you're through, they're gonna start defending over here, and then you can come back and cap this one. By the way, if this one isn't the one you cap initially, I always recommend you do cap this one. Because even though it takes 6 seconds of you standing around, it does mean that any death on your team will just have to run straight down and then straight out, as opposed to running the whole distance and then down and around, which is less efficient.
Sure.
So that's one thing that I would recommend for it. But that's lefty, righty, left. Same thing with this one as well. If you're ahead, you have a person doing the slows for you. If you have like 1 or 2 defenders and you have a visible person going for that door, they are going to chase him. Because if they don't, he's going to cap the door. And having to cover those 2 distances is quite tricky, man. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. You have to kind of position yourself as if you're playing around 2, and not many people do that. So that's why it's such an effective tactic. And that's all I've got for tactics. So I'm not sure if there's anything else you guys wanted to go over.
No, that was it. I didn't realise that you had the same name but something different. And your name does sound a lot better than mine.
Lefty, righty, left.
Yeah.
I invented that shit. You know about?
Yeah, guys, let's do this. We're gonna do Snape's lefty, righty, left. I can't wait to post down Ott's chat and just see what the fuck.
You generally don't need anyone else to do it. That's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah.
Because typically speaking, once that bridge goes down, most people will just funnel in a straight line. So it's not really something you have to instruct, which is good, and that's why it works, I think, is because it doesn't involve your team being competent.
Yeah.
It just happens. And then this is a 1.5 second cap, isn't it? It's really fast, so yeah. I think that's everything for tactics in Void Star, unless I'm missing something obvious here.
It is. Just like in every Warzone, being in a stack, and even more, being able to communicate on voice, it's really helpful. You can split your team if you're 4, 2 and 2 or whatever, 3 and 1, and check the situation on every node.
Yeah, I would say if you've seen the last week's episode about group fights and class roles and that kind of stuff, pretty much going to be the same for this one, and it's going to be similar for Hypergate as well. So there's nothing too much to go into there. And that's it, I guess. All right, cool. Well, we finally managed to get one at the appropriate amount of runtime, so that's good. No more 3-hour videos. What I'll do now is thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Next week, what are we doing next week, guys? Hypergate?
Hypergate.
Yeah, Hypergate.
Odessen?
No. Odessen is the last.
Save the best to last, is it?
Yeah, the best to last.
Yeah, we'll
I think the Odessen one should just be like right-click, exit Warzone, create forum post. Oh my god, Odessa.
That's the random.
Yeah. RNG map. That's
But
what
I
you
like
should do.
it's
Yeah.
really chilling.
Yep. So yeah, we'll do Hypergate next week. You need to strap in for that one because the rules for Hypergate, there's a lot to explain for that one. It's actually very complicated, the scoring system in that one.
Yeah.
So bring your thinking caps. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you then.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.